W-T-L.
It's time!
W-T-L.
I think we got a show. Oh, yeah, we got a show.
W-T-L.
Welcome back, everybody, to WTL. Where's the Line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm your host, Andy Class, and joined by
Jabron.
Oh, the parlay.
You got it. We're back.
Oh, my goodness. And the state of Nebraska, whether you're in the Omaha metro area, the University of Nebraska over there in Lincoln.
Pandemonium.
Riding a high right now. You do not want to be a nationally ranked number one team playing in the state of Nebraska.
You do not. We would win 2 national championships if they were played in Omaha and in Lincoln.
Right. At the Pinnacle Bank Arena or over the CHI Health Center. 0-2. Number one ranked teams in the state of Nebraska.
They can't hack it.
I know. They can't just hang with the Huskers. And both those teams had pretty good. We'll get into both Creighton and Nebraska later on, but they had pretty good games earlier this week.
Yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun to watch both these teams play all year. Huge year for the state of Nebraska for college basketball. Can't wait to see it at the end during conference tournament play, and then God willing, NCAA tournament.
Yep, we're not saying anything right now that everyone doesn't already know. Nebraska got the monkey off their back.
Yep,
they got that road
to win.
And then Creighton. Now they're just jockeying for position. And for me, it's really cool seeing all these in-state kids, whether it's for the University of Nebraska or Creighton. They are littered up and down the roster.
It's very good. It's very awesome to see, and a really good thing for players in the state of Nebraska to look at and say, hey, I could do this as well.
Right.
So very awesome.
Hey, let's stay right there. Let's talk a little college basketball. As we have a full slate Saturday, and we'll start at 11 a.m. on CBS. Number 2, Houston. The Cougars are heading on over to Baylor to take on the Bears. Scott Drew and the Bears. They're ranked 11th in the nation right now. You got to feel like Houston's going to be a favorite here, but only a slight favorite.
Yeah, you got to love Houston the way that they lost to Kansas early in February, but they have rattled off 4 wins since then. Very good wins against Iowa State, Texas, Cincinnati, and Oklahoma State, Andy. Yeah. So, these guys are fired up. Only 3 losses on the year. Very good team. Like you said, though, on the other side, Baylor has 3 top 25 wins in the month of February, Andy, which is very good. Yep. And they play a lot better at home. They just lost to BYU on the road. BYU top 25 team as well, losing them by 7 points on the 20th. But still, you got to think that the Baylor has a good shot in this one, especially at home.
The Baylor Bears remind me of the Creighton Blue Jays of old because they score points, they score a lot of points, and they don't rebound.
No,
they don't play defense.
They do not.
They just say, hey, we're going to get in track meet, we're going to get a 3-point shooting contest, see if you can hang.
Yeah,
play our game.
For sure. Like you're saying, Andy, they average 83 points per game, but on the flip side, Houston is one of the best defensive teams in all of college basketball, only allowing 55 points per game. I like the Cougars in this one. I think they're just a little bit too much of a, monkey to get off Baylor's back there.
Yeah, and if it doesn't get widened out too much, over that 2.5, 3-point, I like Houston.
No doubt.
Baylor's leading rebounder averages 5 a game.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
You can't do that, especially against a very good, team like the Houston Cougars.
Houston's well-rounded. They do play some defense. They do like to hit the boards, crash the boards.
Love that Big 12 matchup, but give me number 2 in the nation to keep that going.
All right, well, let's keep the pedal to the metal and move on over to the ACC, where we have top 10 North Carolina Tar Heels on the road heading on over to Virginia. Virginia's working on a really good season. They're sitting 3rd in the ACC right now, 20-7 overall record. Ooh, but they are not ranked. They've fallen out of the rankings. North Carolina, as mentioned, they have the same record. They're 20-6.
Yeah,
it's just the quality of wins.
It really is, Andy, and it kind of goes into North Carolina is always going to be up there because of the name and all that kind of stuff. But Virginia, the reason they dropped out, they had a huge loss on the 19th to Virginia Tech, only putting up 41 points to Virginia Tech's 75.
When you're a defensive team like that, sometimes scoring is tough.
No doubt about it. And we know that being Husker fans, obviously, but Virginia only putting up 64 points a game. I don't believe that's going to be enough against a top-tier offensive team like the North Carolina Tar Heels, averaging 83 points per game, Andy.
Yeah.
And they just got those bigs that really go after the ball back hot, for one. You can remember him for a couple tournaments past as one of the best players in the nation, and Davis putting in 22 points per game. This is going to be very tough for the Virginia Cavaliers to keep in this one.
A lot of times I like to poke a little fun at those guys that, the voters, the rankings, and all that stuff. But you can see why Virginia is out of the rankings, and they have a similar overall record than North Carolina. North Carolina is a complete team. They're in the top 10 nationwide as far as rebounding. They're the ranked 31st in scoring. And you alluded to this, Virginia. They're ranked 330th in D1 scoring.
That's so tough.
But their defense allows them to be that bad and still have a decent record. It's just amazing that they've been able to have the season they're having, but be so
block. I agree.
Lacking offense.
But like you said, only allowing 58 points per game keeps them in those games, and they've figured out a way to win them late in the game and not give up too many points. But if they're going against a major powerhouse that can score points, it's destruction for them. So I like North Carolina. They're probably going to be about a 5 to 7 point favorite, and I give it to them.
They'll probably get it.
I like the Tar Heels just to probably blow them out in this one. Tar Heels are getting in that late season form, and I think it's going to happen.
Okay, it's in Virginia.
It's in Virginia.
All right, let's move on to another real fun one in the SEC. Number 13th ranked Alabama, coming off an overtime win over your Gators. The Florida Gators, 93-98. What was that, Wednesday?
Yep, Wednesday.
And then you have the Kentucky Wildcats also. Well, the other side of it. They're coming off
flip side.
Yeah, they're coming off a tip-in loss.
A tip-in loss to LSU right at the buzzer. Kentucky took the lead with 2 seconds to go, and then a tip-in on the other side. Heartbreaker for the Wildcats. But, SEC ball, we say it all the time. These guys are very close to each other, all from top to bottom.
Yep. And this is going to be a 3 o'clock tip on CBS, and I've been saying it all season. They need to fire John Calipari. I mean, he's only got 18 wins on the season.
And only 18 All-Stars in the NBA All-Star game. It's crazy.
They are sitting 5th in the SEC as far as conference rankings. Alabama sitting there at 1, and they're only a game ahead of Kentucky. That tells you how tight it is in the SEC right now.
No, I agree, Andy. I don't see Alabama coming in here with a huge point differential in the line. I bet it's about 2.5, 3 points, if that. I do kind of like Kentucky to bounce back. They play really well at home, Andy, and I just really think that this is a get-you point for Alabama. I think Alabama's going to cruise in here thinking, pretty well about themselves, and I think Calipari and folk kind of tell them who's the blue blood in the SEC.
I kind of agree with that. And if it had been the flip side where Kentucky's feeling good about themselves and won an overtime game, and Alabama lost on a tip-in at the last second, I think you'd have different attitudes from really two similar squads. The fact that this is in Kentucky, and this whole, it's just a farce that Kentucky's down. It is. They're still Kentucky. They're going to have a little bit of a monkey on their back here, and they're just stats-wise, number-wise, they mirror Alabama.
No doubt.
However, they're ticked off over that loss on Wednesday. And I think this could be a statement for them. And also just kind of reclaiming the SEC. Like, get out of here. This, like Kansas in the Big 12, we're Kentucky, and this is our SEC.
I agree with Andy wholeheartedly. I think another reason Alabama's going to come in a little bit, head honcho-ish, is that they have 2 wins against LSU this year. One just earlier this month, kind of putting the medal to them, 109-92, and then earlier at LSU as well. So I really think they're going to look at this loss by Kentucky and say, wow, they lost to LSU. We're going to beat the brakes off these guys. So I really like the Wildcats in this one to come in. And like you said, Wildcats still have very good wins on the year. They just beat Auburn, and they were ranked 13th in the nation.
You called that.
Yeah, and they beat them by 11 points too, Andy. So I don't I don't like the farce. I don't like that Kentucky's down or anything. They have a good win over North Carolina earlier in the year that we were just talking about, one of the best teams in the nation.
Top 10.
They are not gone. They're not forgotten. They're going to be in the tournament, and I think they get this win as well.
I think Rupp-Arena is going to get to the old Crimson Tide.
No doubt.
Give me the Wildcats of Kentucky. It will be interesting. That's got to be about a pick'em game, wouldn't you say?
I would say
when it gets to it,
it'll be a pick'em game. But if you're getting any points for Kentucky, if you're getting a plus symbol in front of Kentucky, take it to the bank because I love them getting points.
And we've seen that this year. It's just so bizarre.
Yeah.
It's still Kentucky, folks. Don't get that twisted.
Don't get it twisted.
All right, let's take a minute to recognize one of our fabulous partners, and that is the Nebraska Brewing Company. We've been enjoying a Bavarian wheat beer known as the EOS. The unfiltered EOS is a fresh, sweeter style Hefeweizen, thanks to notes of vanilla and nutmeg. Nebraska Brewing Company, world class in every glass. Don't go anywhere. This is WTL. And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. Where's the line? You know what that stands for. Stands for Where's the Line?
Where's the line?
Yeah,
WTL.
Yeah, WTL, right? Okay. Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm your host, Ian D. Classen, joined by
Jabron.
Oh, the Parlay Pounder.
You got it. We're back.
And we're getting back into the UFC.
Yeah.
We got a fight night, an exciting fight night. And we're coming off an exciting UFC 298.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, before we move further ahead, let's take a look back. Let's talk about some hits and misses, because that was a stacked card, and we were throwing the picks out left and right. But you came away pretty good, right? 3 out of 4.
298 main card. We put 4 fights on our podcast last week, and I hit 3 out of 4 fights on the main card. I started off with a loss with Merab beating Henry Cejudo, which I thought would go the other way. It did. It went the distance. I just thought Henry would have a bigger push there at the end there, but
it was a decision, and Cejudo was a plus 200 underdog.
Yeah, no, I was trying to get with the underdog early, but Ian Gary, like we said, took care of Jeff Neal, and then Robert Whitaker kind of broke out against Paulo Costa. Very good fight, very fun fight to watch.
Yeah.
But the big one, Andy, is picking the underdog in Topuria beating the champ Volkanovski, which we called correctly last week. So that was a lot of fun to watch. Very great card. 299 is going to be even better, though.
Yeah, Topuria was plus money at the time, about a plus 110 when they rang the bell. And, man, did he take care of Volk early. Just like you said, got him up around the head, just a knockout early on. I mean, it was just shocking, really.
It is, and we were talking about Volk last week. Once you get that first knockout with him getting kicked in the head against his last fight, you don't really come back from that. You start seeing it happen more and more. I don't wish any bad thing against Volk, but it looks like the end is near for the amazing Australian champion.
Yeah, he's really got to step up his defense moving forward.
For sure.
So, all right, well, should we move on back to... Mexico. It's heading to Mexico. There we go at CDMX Arena.
Yep.
And, of course, so we have a lot of Mexicans on the card.
No doubt.
And we're going to start with one that we've talked about a lot, and that is Rojas Jr.
Yeah.
Huge favorite here, minus 285 over Ricky Turquoise, the American big underdog, plus 230 plus 250.
Yeah, Andy, and Rojas is going to be a popular pick this weekend in parlays. I just have some worries about him. I really do.
Okay.
He's a great grappler and always looking to get his opponents to the ground where he can work on submissions or ground and pound. Yep. But he's young, and he's 2 fights ago. MMA veteran Christian Rodriguez survived the early onslaught and gassed out Rojas, giving Rojas his first loss. So his interview in the ring was kind of strange. I mean, he's just young. He's only 19 years old, Andy, and we're going to see a little bit of immaturity out of him. We haven't seen Turquoise in over a year, and he didn't look great in his last fight, and he won a close split decision. But I think he has enough cardio to stay with Rojas here.
Rojas is so much bigger.
Right.
Bigger frame, just, all of it.
I think he can hold down on the ground with Rojas. And if Rojas screws around like he has in the past, Andy, Turquoise isn't great, but it's a big step up in competition for Rojas' last opponent.
Okay.
And I would be terrified to put Rojas in my parlay. I think
You like the plus 200 here?
I think this is a dog fight or a pass fight for me. So I'm either, just taking a straight bet on Ricky, or I'm just passing it up because I don't like it.
All right, that's a bantamweight bout there.
Yeah.
And you're seeing a little bit closer than what the odds makers are seeing for sure.
No doubt about it. A lot of people are going to put Rojas Jr. in their parlay with that minus 275, and it could be a good pick. It just scares me with his immaturity.
And being the hometown favorite, all that stuff. And Rojas, for everything you mentioned there, he still only lost one UFC bout. He's 8-1.
No doubt.
But I don't know why. I just remember that loss so much more clearly than all his wins.
For sure.
I don't know why that sticks with me so much.
I just think he's a little young, and it might take a couple fights to really get him into that zone of how he wants to fight. So,
alrighty.
I'm just going to step away from it.
Yep, little sidestep. That's all right. That's all right.
Yep.
Let's move on up the card to a featherweight bout featuring the number 3 and 4 contenders in this weight class, and that is Brian Ortega, young man out of the United States, taking on Yari Rodriguez, and Rodriguez is your minus 175 favorite.
Yeah, Andy, and we haven't seen Ortega since his injury to his shoulder against Rodriguez over a year and a half ago, and I think this is a tough spot
bounce back
for
here.
Brian Ortega to come back to. Rodriguez has fought twice since then, and even though that he lost, it was against Volkanovski in round 3, and I think he has gotten valuable experience fighting champions like that. And I've seen some opinions that this fight might be not just a bad spot for Ortega, but fighting in the elevation is bad for Ortega as well.
Yep,
Rodriguez trains at this elevation, so cardio edge should go to Yair Rodriguez. Not a whole lot of takeaway from his first fight as the injury happened in the first round, Andy. But I like the striking of Rodriguez in the fight, and I think he's only gotten better.
Yeah, both these guys are coming off losses. However, I do think it's going to weigh heavy, especially if it gets into that third round.
Yeah.
The hometown favorite, Rodriguez, right?
I think so. And Ortega's big break is a concern. And with the elevation issue, I just think Rodriguez wins this. I don't think I'll bet this fight before, but watching live, and if Ortega looks rusty early, I'll probably grab a live bet on Rodriguez, maybe even to knock him out.
And Rodriguez is a bigger dude. He's taller. He has a longer reach.
Yeah.
5'11" to 5'8", 155 weigh-in to 146 weigh-in.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't need to look at that stuff, but I still tend to.
Yeah, for sure.
in the UFC.
And, I'm a big Brian Ortega fan, obviously, as well. And backing him into a corner like this could, motivate him a little bit, but I just like Rodriguez in this fight.
All right, should we move on up to the title bout?
Let's do it. The main event.
It's a flyweight bout, and it's the Let's Go Brandon bout.
Yes.
Brandon Moreno versus Brandon Royval.
Yep.
And Royval is the American here, and he's also got the plus money on his side, plus 205. Moreno minus 250 favorite.
Yeah, Andy. And both guys have lost to Alexandre Pantoja in their last fight, but Moreno took him to a split decision. Royval got submitted. Royval is explosive as he has showed by knocking out a couple people and getting submissions as well, but it feels like he doesn't quite have the weapons that Pantoja and baby assassin Moreno do. Moreno hasn't been finished since he was 22 years old in 2016. I really only see that as a path of victory for Royval is knocking him out. I just see a lot more paths to victory for baby assassin Brandon Moreno.
Moreno's got a lot more wins under his belt here, and I think that's why.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a huge reason why he's the minus 250 favorite. There's so many things and also, once again, he's the hometown favorite. They made this fight night for him. I mean, look at this. You got Mexico. The entire main card
has a Mexican fighter in it.
And the prelims, all but 2 fights in the prelims.
No, it's awesome. I love it when they stack cards like this. And Brandon Moreno, probably, in recent memory, one of the best Mexican fighters in the UFC, obviously holding the championship for a very long time. And I'm not saying that this isn't a good fight, because Royval has very great pace. I just think Moreno can keep up with him. If Royval can leave himself open on the feet, Moreno has the striking to take that advantage.
It looks like Royval has to get him into a submission, right? That's his game.
I mean, I think his only path to victory is a knockout, because I think Brandon Moreno on the ground is just as good as Royval. In Royval's last fight, Pantoja really had the advantage on the ground, and maybe Moreno sees that as a place to take advantage, like I said, and have some success against him. So
their significant strikes are exactly the same.
Yeah, no doubt.
3.8, 43%. As far as that goes, I was just kind of looking at the grappling, and it appears Moreno might have an edge, or Royval might have an edge there, but it wouldn't be much.
I just think Royval tries to do it a little bit more. Brandon Moreno, I just think people stay away from him because they know he has that side of him. There seems to be more path to victory for Moreno, like I said, but this minus 265, minus 250, wherever you see, I think it's such a steep price. I'm not sure there's, I can do it with much confidence, but I do believe by decision is your best bet here at a plus 140 for Brandon Moreno.
Oh, okay.
So you can find some really good pieces for parlays as you looking up and down this fight card. So.
Well, all right.
Yeah.
Talking parlays, you got a parlay play?
I do. I got a 3-teamer here. We talked about 2 of these fights. One we didn't. The first one that I'm going to do, it's an earlier on the card. It's an over 2.5 rounds. I think this fight does go the distance of the 3 rounds. It's Jesus Santos Aguilar versus Mendoca. And I believe that these guys are so similarly matched that it's going to go all 3. And that's a plus 120 bet that I think is a really good spot to start your parlay with. And then I got Rodriguez, like we just talked, over Ortega's at a minus 148 on DraftKings right now, and then ending it with Brandon Moreno to win by decision. Just putting $25 on this.
Okay.
$25 to win 221.
Nice odds.
I really do.
Good odds.
You put all that together, plus 784 parlay.
Yeah, and that first leg you were talking about there, that's pretty much between Aguilar and Mantis. That's basically a coin flip.
It is.
Those are really tight
I
odds
think
there.
it's going to be one of the better fights of the night, and I think it goes the distance with these guys. So betting that over 2.5 rounds with that plus money is a very good piece in your parlay.
Well, let's take a minute to recognize one of our fabulous partners, and that is the Stock and Rod Company, an outdoor lifestyle brand for those seeking adventure. Whether it's hunting, fishing, hiking, they got you covered. Visit stockandrod.com to get your wild game on. Don't go anywhere. This is WTL. And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. Where's the Line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm your host, Andy Kless, and I'm joined by
Jabron.
Oh, the Parlay Pounder.
Yes, sir. We're back.
All right, we talked a little NCAA basketball, some UFC fight night,
sure.
and look back at 298. Should we talk about the association?
We have to.
The NBA coming off. Oh, what a fun.
Oh, my God.
All-Star game. What a display that was. I was a little surprised with how much I felt heat was being put on the players to perform and to do better.
Yeah.
My ex-players, and everyone else with a camera or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they came out and gave
exactly what.
Oh, my gosh.
No, everybody was hoping that it was going to be different than it has in past years, but no, there's no incentives for them to do it, and they don't really care about the weekend. They want to be rested and go up and throw up half-court shots. Not very entertaining, and it's sad because growing up, it's one of those things that you really look forward to as a kid, especially as a young fan of the NBA. Yeah. You even hear a lot of teenagers now saying, "Well, what is this?"
Yeah, and I mean, I'll show my age. I felt like back in the day when the Bulls were going on their run, that was an opportunity for Michael Jordan and his guys to send a message to the Western Conference, like, don't even think about it.
Yeah, we're the best here.
I'm going to win the MVP. I'm going to push you around, and I got a couple of Knicks on my team. That's fine. We'll deal with these guys. We'll have a better team.
I'm taking that young buck from the Lakers and putting him in his place, kind of thing.
Exactly, and it was competitive. And it was fun, and it was a point of pride for these players. But now, without the money, without the incentive, they don't care.
Yeah, so, the best event of the entire NBA All-Star game was Steph versus the Sabrina. Yeah, that is the best event that they could put on. When you're putting NBA players that aren't actually NBA players in the slam dunk contest and people shooting left-handed threes and stuff like this, it's when they're not left-handed. It's
is this Back-to-back dunk contest won by guys out of the G League.
It's Mac McClung, both of them.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Out of the G League. They suit him up for one weekend a year. And good for Mac McClung. He's a very good dunker. But if you're going to let him do it, why isn't it just all professional dunkers? Don't even get NBA players anymore.
Yeah, just get the Harlem Globetrotter guys and stuff like that.
Those guys can do it.
And that'd be fun.
That would be fun.
So, all right, well.
Let's get back to real basketball.
Let's get back to some real basketball. And we got some headliners here, and we're talking the weekend. So let's start with Saturday, February 24th. We are talking about the Boston Celtics heading on over to New York City to take on the Knicks. Boston's way out in front in the Eastern Conference here. Really nice record, 43-12, winning at a clip of 78%. But right behind them is New York. But guess what? They got 10 more wins than the Knicks. Maybe the Knicks can get one back here at home.
Yeah, Andy. This is very hard to call right out of All-Star break, but the Knicks going into All-Star 4-game skid, as on the other side, it's a 5-game winning streak for the Boston Celtics. They got the new face of the league, I think, in Jason Tatum. I think this is definitely the head-on favorite to come out of the East. I don't know if they have enough to push them to that title, but they have as good a chance this year as they've ever had. On the other side with the Knicks, they have some really good pieces. Julius Randle, their big guy in the middle, doesn't seem like he's going to be back for this game. He's eyeing a return of February 29th, so a couple more weeks for him. I just think the Celtics kind of overpower them with these injuries, and Boston gets a win right out of the All-Star break.
Yeah, and they don't want to just start letting teams cut into their lead in the Eastern Conference either, and they know that New York's tied or a half a game ahead of Philadelphia. They don't want to give anything away to those two teams.
No doubt.
And here you got a head-up matchup. You talk about Jason Tatum having a spectacular, leads the team in scoring, assists, and rebounds.
The big three.
Pulling in 9 boards a game.
Yeah.
I think a lot of folks, when they think of Jason Tatum, they think of him hoisting up threes in the playoffs and then them getting shorted or whatever. But no, he's putting together one heck of a season. I'm a little surprised. I was looking at MVP odds, which we all know it's probably Jokic. But Tatum at a plus 2,900 plus 2,500. I'm kind of surprised to see it
that's a good value right now. Probably the best bang for your buck in the NBA right now for an MVP odd, just because look at their record. They've only lost 12 games all season, and like you said, he's averaging 28, 9, and 5 across the board, and those are MVP numbers, especially when you're on a good team like this. But when they go to the Mecca, when they go to Madison Square Garden, this is over. Give me Boston. I think they'll be favored pretty good in this one, though, as well.
Take them up over 5?
I would take them up over 5 for sure.
Wow, okay.
Yep.
All right, let's see if you can stick with that.
Yeah.
We're going to move on to Sunday, the 25th, for a 2:30 tip-off on ABC. Your L.A. Lakers heading on over to Phoenix. Similar records, but Phoenix does have a couple games up on them in the Western Conference standings.
Yeah, Andy, just coming out of the break, I like the Suns in this one. The Lakers are 3-1 against them in regular season, taking one on the road and one at home. But the Suns took the last one, beating them by 127-109 in January 11th. I believe the Phoenix Suns are really a sleeping giant in the NBA right now, Andy. And
they got the star power.
They got the star power, and this is one of my future bets right now is the Suns are plus 1,300 to win the NBA Finals.
Ooh,
I love this. I love this value right now just because I think that they have the star power to do it. KD, if he stays healthy, is one of the best players of all time. And when you got people like Bradley Beal and Devin Booker to sidekick him, it's going to happen.
Nurkic, leading the team in rebounds.
No, that's what I'm saying.
They got a squad.
They got pieces. And if you put a $25 bet on this, Andy, that's returning $350. So not a lot of money to win a lot there. But just this game in general, Anthony Davis, if he plays well, he's going to pose a threat to them. Yeah. But I believe LeBron coming off he sat pretty much the entire All-Star game, so he should be well rested.
He's still on the injury report with an ankle.
Yeah, no doubt. He's going to be on it every game. But no, I really like the Suns to come out and, I do believe the Lakers have a very good chance of making the playoffs. They're sitting right there in ninth place right now, only 3 games out of sixth place to get in without doing the play-in tournament.
Right.
And I believe that's a good bet right now, too, is the LA Lakers to make playoffs is a plus 105 on DraftKings right now. I believe that's a very good value. I believe they're going to make it. But I do not like them at Phoenix coming off the All-Star break.
Right, because not only did the Lakers guys get some rest, but so did the Phoenix guys. And, of course, I saw a bunch of chatter about Kevin. He can't keep himself out of the headlines.
No, he can't.
You know, he's always got a chip on his shoulder. People are always picking on him. I just couldn't imagine being a superstar like that, like arguably one of the top 3 players in the world and caring about what someone said about me on Twitter.
Exactly. Slim Reaper needs to let that right off his back because, just let it go, man. You're one of the best scorers of all time. You don't need to get burners and fake Twitter accounts to get back at these fans.
And I like the 1-2 punch of Durant and Booker.
No doubt.
Booker's averaging 28 points per game, and he still doesn't lead the team in scoring.
No.
Because of
KD.
Durant.
The really uptick in Booker's game has been that assist total, Andy. He's averaging just at 7 a game, which is huge for Devin Booker in this team. So give me the Suns. I still like the Lakers down the stretch if this gets into a playoff series, but I like Phoenix right now.
All right, well, let's cap off our NBA weekend with a Sunday 6 p.m. tip-off. The Denver Nuggets are heading on over to San Francisco to take on the Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors are now a game above 500. Yeah. But Denver, oh boy, they are number 1 by a ways.
Yes.
And I just don't. They're not number 1, but they're third in the Northeast with a Northwest division with a 36-19.
They're right
record.
where they want to be, Andy.
They're exactly where they want to be. And Jokic is far out and away the favorite to win the MVP. In fact, if you even had a thought of it, you better get that money in now because it's already at minus money. It's already at minus 120, minus 130.
Yeah.
I'm even seeing a Hard Rock has it at a minus 180.
Yeah, no, it's a foregone conclusion that this is happening. He's averaging 26, 12 rebounds, and 9 assists, mostly a walking triple-double anytime he steps on the floor. Yep. There are a couple things. Jamal Murray was game time decision. Coming into this game, I believe he's going to play. It looks like Golden State Warriors are as healthy as they can be right now. I just don't believe that this team has what it takes to make the next jump. They're phasing these old guys out, Andy, and I don't believe Draymond's going to have a place at Golden State next year. I don't believe Clay's going to have a space in Golden State next year. I believe it's going to be a rebuild around Steph, and who knows what that's going to look like.
Yeah, and Chris Paul leads the team in assists, but you need more out of him.
He didn't play.
Yeah, you need more out of the guy, but I don't know if he can give more because all these dudes are getting up to a little long in the tooth.
No, exactly, Andy. And, Denver's going to come in here. I think they're going to be a spark at this All-Star break to try and grab that number 1 seed and make people come through Denver in the playoffs. So I really like them to make an announcement here and just take down these past champions and the Warriors and really put it to them and show everybody in the West we're here to stay. A
little bit of a statement win coming out
no
of
doubt.
The break, and it's a Sunday evening, so the bright lights, you're going to have the whole ESPN crowd or television audience to kind of wrap up the weekend. But the Warriors, they come up and win these games every now and then.
It's
I
hard.
don't know why, but they do.
It's hard to bet against the Warriors in prime time at Golden State. But, Andy, I'm looking at the regular season here. Denver leads 3-0, beating them 105-108 at home, 114-120 at home, and then going on the road and beating them by 3 points their last matchup on January 4th. So I just really think Nuggets have their number, and they just don't have an answer for Jokic. And especially if Jamal Murray plays, he's going to lock down on Steph as much as he can.
Well, so they beat him by 6, 3, and 3.
Yep.
Do you think that point spread will probably be somewhere in the middle there?
I think that the Warriors might be favored in this game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you're getting any plus money for Denver, definitely jump on that. It's probably a toss-up game when it comes down to it, but if you're getting any plus money or plus points with Denver, definitely take it to the bank.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about not betting against the Warriors, Golden State, but I feel more so about Denver.
Yeah.
I really would not put money against them in any matchup
you just
in
can't.
the NBA.
You just can't. They're the best, and even going with that 3-game skid into the All-Star break, it just doesn't faze me because they can turn it on at any point. And Joker kind of treats this as his second job.
Yeah,
so
likes his horses.
Yeah, he likes his horses, but he's going to be the horse in the second half of the season here.
There we go. Well, you heard the horn, so that means we're up against it. But let's take a minute to recognize one of our fabulous partners, and that is the Nebraska Brewing Company, world class in every glass. Don't go anywhere. This is WTL. And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. That stands for Where's the Line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm your host, Andy Klassen, joined by
Jabron.
Oh, the Parlay Pounder.
You got it. We're back.
Yes, we are. And now we got to wrap things up with a little NCAA round ball, a little basketball here.
With our local teams.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And we're going to start, though, with a Saturday 5 o'clock tip on ESPN. Getting back into the Big 12. Texas versus Kansas. Always a big game.
No
Kansas
doubt.
has got themselves back into the top 10, ranked 9th in the nation. 20 and 6th overall record, but they're only sitting 3rd in the Big 12 right now. Longhorns, similar record, but they're 8th in the Big 12 with a 17 and 9 record.
Yeah.
You got to think the Jayhawks are going to be a favorite here.
Yeah, for sure. I believe they're going to be a favorite. I don't think it's going to be too crazy. Maybe about 3.5 to 4 points, Andy.
Yeah.
Just because of their recent blemishes against Texas Tech and Kansas State. But Texas really put together a really good season, I believe, Andy, for the expectations for them. You look at the team stats, and they're pretty much straight across the board with Kansas.
They are, yeah.
Averaging 75 points and only allowing 67. You look at when they play top tier competition in the last 5 games, Andy, Texas losing to Houston by 21 at Houston, and then them losing at home to Iowa State by 5, really, put some red flags in my ear that says, going in against Kansas at home really doesn't fend well for Texas.
No, it doesn't. And Kansas only has, they've lost 2 of their last 4, but one was a rivalry game, so I'll give them a little bit of a pass. Yep, overtime to Kansas State. But then that shellacking they took from Texas Tech, where does that come from?
It's just weird, Andy. And it's right in between 2 top 25 wins between Oklahoma and Baylor. Game. And, like I said, in early February, they beat one of the top teams in the nation, Houston, who's still number 2, but still has a win over them. I believe Kansas is still trying to win this conference, Andy, outright, which they're 2 games back of Houston. I believe that they can do it, and this is a huge win for them when they do it.
It would be a huge win. They get them at home, and I think they've already had a couple of scare games and a couple of losses. So, they should be focused now. And both these teams, you mentioned the similarities, both these teams average 32 rebounds per game.
That's crazy.
So, you can see why things are so tight there in the middle of the Big 12.
Yeah, no, I just think Hunter Dickinson is the better rebounder in this game across the board. But I just really believe the big players for Kansas show up on Saturday and win this one over the Longhorns. Horns down.
McCullough Jr. averaging 20 a night.
Yes, sir.
Give it to me. I like the J. Rock Chalk, whatever.
Rock Chalk.
All right, should we move on over to Sunday?
Let's do it.
All right, the 15th ranked Creighton Blue Jays. I think they might have moved up a few spots.
Number 1.
They took down.
That's right. They just took them down.
Took down number 1 UConn earlier this week, 85-66. The court was stormed. All the things. It was Mac's 600th win.
Yep.
It was Creighton's first win over our number 1 ranked opponent in program history. They were 0-6 going in. And I'll tell you what, if you're a Creighton Blue Jay fan, you have to feel really good about the fact that Baylor Sharman didn't play well.
No.
Didn't have one of his – he still had a double-double, which is crazy.
Still had a double-double.
You play bad and you still get a double-double.
But he sat most of the game.
Right.
Got early foul trouble. Kind of just looked out of sorts. But, the other guys picked him up. Like you said, it's good to see that Creighton is able to do that with Baylor playing so well up until this point.
Right.
If you have an off game, you got people like Kalkbrenner, Ashworth, Trey Alexander to pick them up and really really put a shellacking on them.
Ashworth has really come alive the last 5-6 games. I think he's finding his role. He's finding his offense. And Trey Alexander, when you need a bucket, he's
the man.
He can just create.
Mid-range GOAT.
Yep,
mid-range GOAT.
Dudes. One of those dudes, hard to shut down. But you're going to it could be a letdown game here. Sneaky letdown game. St. John's 15-12 overall. They're 8th in the Big East. Big East is they're the Big East again.
Yeah, they really are.
They beat up on each other, and they're a great basketball conference. So this is a game where, in years past, I'd really worry about Creighton in this spot.
Yeah.
This is a typical letdown, and they would do exactly that. But I felt back then they were so heavily
relying on the three.
On the three and on their offense. They would just outscore you. That's not the case. This is a team of grinders.
They're flying around.
They are. They rebound the ball well. They defend well.
Yeah.
And they could still outscore you.
No doubt. We can they can put up points really fast in a lot of different ways, Andy.
Yeah.
St. John's, like you said, really, stingy team, Andy. Just coming off a loss to Seton Hall's 68-62 at home. Only lost to Providence by 3. Only lost to UConn by 10 points earlier in the earlier in the month, Andy. But no, so they can stick around with Creighton. But like you said, I just believe that this isn't a letdown spot for Creighton. I believe they come in very fired up because they really want to send a message to the Big East that they are the top dogs coming into the tournament.
Yeah, and Creighton had their woes early. The Mountain West, for whatever reasons, gave them problems earlier in the season. Almost dropped out of the rankings there. Now I feel like they've righted the ship, and they know it's all business from here on out, and they can't afford to drop a game like that. So with this in mind, I think that's how all the odds makers, line makers are feeling too. You got to think Creighton, scary, but they're going to be a road favorite here.
Yeah, no, I believe they're going to be a 4 to 5 point favorite here, Andy. And I like the fact in the back of my mind, Baylor had a bad game.
Yeah.
He's going to come out firing, and I believe he's going to be hitting as well. So I look for a huge game out of Baylor Shireman and a big win for the Jays on the road.
Yeah, I mean, that's just crazy that he leads the team in scoring and rebounding.
Yeah.
And he had that off night, and they were still able to knock off the number one team by nearly 20 points.
No doubt about it.
Crazy.
It's very good. Don't have a letdown, Creighton. I don't believe that you will. This is going to be one of the funnest teams heading into the tournament, Andy. Couple futures I want to lay on you.
Oh, here, let's do
Creighton
it.
Blue Jays. Being number one gets you thinking about this kind of stuff. For Creighton to make the Final Four right now is at a plus 650. You put $20 on that to return 150. And if you're getting real nuts, for Creighton to win the NCAA tournament is at a plus 3,000. Just put $5 on it. It returns you 155. So just a couple future bets that are fun to talk about.
Yep. I mean, I do like the Final Four because they were right there last year.
Yeah.
And I thought when that, a couple pieces left.
Yeah, for sure.
Man. And Kaluma, I thought, God, you had something there. But
we really had people step in and really take off.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a lot of fun watching these guys down the stretch, and I can't wait to watch them.
All right, let's talk about the Sunday nightcap on BTN. That's a 5:30 tip between the Minnesota Golden Gophers heading on over to the bank, the Pinnacle Bank Arena, where the Huskers finally got the monkey off their back Wednesday night, taking it to Indiana, beating them by 15 points, and getting that elusive road conference win.
Yeah, it's no longer 0-7 on the road in the Big Ten, Andy. It's 1-7.
That's right.
And 8-0 at home, Andy. The thing that really scares you about Minnesota is they've been an absolute wagon for bettors all year.
Yeah.
20-3 against the spread all year. That is the best in the entire nation. So you got to look at this spread. I believe this is going to be a close game, but I have to give the edge to the Nebraska Cornhuskers in the vault. This place is going to be rocking. I'm going to be there. It's going to be so much fun to welcome the Huskers back after that road win.
And I think this is a deal where, we're talking about letdown games, whether it was in the NBA, we were talking earlier, or even Creighton in years past. But Nebraska knows that they are on the bubble. They can't afford to give away a game, and they got to feel good about themselves, beating up on Indiana. Series sweep over the old Hoosiers.
Yeah, hasn't happened a lot.
It doesn't, and got that road win. And Minnesota got them earlier.
Yes,
and that
it shouldn't have been.
It shouldn't have been. But they, You could say the same for the Illinois game. Like,
no doubt.
Should have won that game.
Should have won that game.
So you had opportunities to get that road win, to win a couple more games in the conference.
Yeah.
Still a good season here. But this squad has a chance to do something very special, and that's to have the most wins in conference in Nebraska history.
In the Big Ten
history.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they could get up, could realistically get to 21-22 if things go their way, but you have to win at home and beat Minnesota.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Andy. And like I said, I think they're kind of frothing at the mouth to have another shot at these Golden Gophers because they believe that they should have won earlier in the season in Minnesota. And I just believe that our team has been so much better in late game situations and just closing out games than they were early in the season.
Look at Wednesday night.
Exactly.
Indiana went on that huge run in the second half.
Everybody knew they would.
Erased a 20-point deficit, got within 3, and then from then on out, I think Nebraska went on a 14-1 or 13-0 run of their own.
Yep.
But their backs are against the wall. They're in a hostile environment, and they figured it out.
Exactly.
They got a little grit to them.
Got a little grit to them, Andy. And the same point that I was making about Baylor Shireman in Creighton, Rank Mass had not a very good game against the Hoosiers. I believe we try to get him the ball in the post against these Golden Gophers and get him a high point total. I believe Mass is going to carry us to victory, and especially if those guys shoot from 3 like they did against Indiana, we got this game.
Mass, looking at the numbers, he still leads the team in assists and rebounds, pulling in 8 boards a game. How about this Elijah Hawkins guy for the Gophers, averaging 8 assists a game? The distributor.
Yeah, no, they have a very good team, Andy. It doesn't show by the record, but they're 7-7 in conference play, which is very hard to do in the Big Ten, like we were just alluding to.
Yes, it is.
So
a little bit of a toss-up, but you're leaning Huskers.
I'm leaning Huskers. If they just the way that the Minnesota Golden Gophers have been 20-3 against the spread, they're not going to give us a wide spread on this because of that point. So I have a 1.5 to 2 point line for the Nebraska Huskers. I believe we cover. I believe the ball. Right. We protect the vault.
Defend home. Yep. Defend home. I don't think anyone could argue with that.
Yeah, let's do it.
That's been the name of the game, right?
It has been the name of the game. That place is going to be rocking. I can't wait to be in there with the Sea of Red on Sunday night.
All righty. Well, you heard the horn. That means we're up against it. And you know what? How about do it for us this week?
It will.
So be sure to follow us on ESPN Tri-City Radio and their Facebook page. We're always putting up short little videos on the Reels. They call it Reels now.
Reels.
Is that's what it is? We also got a little Twitter handle going on, giving out picks pretty much every day over the weekend.
For sure. You have to.
Picks.
Primetime games.
And our YouTube channel continues to grow. YouTube Shorts, our feature length, all that good stuff. Please subscribe, click those notifications, all that good stuff.
Yeah, please check out our YouTube page. It's very fun. Like you said, we're putting out shorts, full-length video for our podcast. It's a lot of fun. Please give us a subscribe. Give us a like. Also, check us out on TikTok. I got primetime games every night of the week, pretty much, at WTL Sports Betting. Please check us out on TikTok and YouTube.
Those YouTube shorts, we're on the heater with those. I think we've hit like 4 out of the last 5 bets that I've put on YouTube.
No doubt.
Clips, so there you go.
We only put our best bets out on that stuff. So, yes, check us out.
For Jabron, the Parlay Pounder, I'm Andy Klassen. Thank you for listening. This has been WTL.